different levels. Very simple route, a slippery walk, to very advanced climbs that even the most experienced climbers will challenge. This extreme sport is only applicable in the winter season, and it is from the end of May until mid-August. Statistics. And that leads me, and now I'd like to move on to the statistics. The question is, what is the amount of foreign tourists that arrive to South Africa? The amount of arrivals in South Africa tends upwards, rising from 200,000 people in 1965 to almost 6.5 million people in 2005. The graph shows the amount of foreign tourists that arrives in South Africa from 1965 till 2005 in millions of people. As you can see, there are some aspects that influenced statistics. In the 70s and 80s you can see stagnation. South Africa wasn't very popular in the beginning, but from 1990 till 1998 the amount of arrivals increased enormously because of the short-term profit-taking followed by the period of investment growth and the entry of foreign players. In 1994 Nelson Mandela becomes the president of South Africa, and in 1995 you can see there were held the Rugby World Cup, and it led to an increase of arrivals. In the year 2001 you can see that the amount of arrivals drops of 75,000 people. The reason for that was, of course, the September 11 attacks. After this tragic incident, you can see an increase of almost 1 million people. Ever since 2004, the graph is quite stable with an amount of almost 7 million people in 2005. That brings me to the end of my part in South Africa. I've talked about the enormous amount of adventure activities. I talked in the beginning of wildlife adventures, the national park, the shark expeditions and the climbing opportunities, and I gave some statistics. Hopefully you learn a little bit more about adventure tourism in South Africa, and now Sebas will tell you more about Peru.
Yeah, do keep it very short because it's already too long.
Oh, okay. Okay, I keep it very short. So I'll tell you something about Peru. Peru, the country of the Incas. Peru is a country in western South America who has around 25 million residents. And the main capital of Peru is Lima with 7.6 million residents. The dominant religion in Peru is Roman Catholicism. And Peru has four landscape forms in the country, and that are desert, mountains, a coast area, and the rainforest. I'm going to tell you something about the Inca attractions in Peru. Then I tell you something about the city Iquitos. After that about the Amazon, the rainforest of course. And finally I give some statistics about the country. So it brings me to the first point, the Inca tourism in Peru. Well, before the Spanish conquered the country, the Incas were in power. The Incas, Cusco was the main capital of the Inca Empire, and Cusco literally means navel of the world. From here the Incas exercised the power over other communities in the country. So Cusco is a very popular place to visit. But a more famous city of the Incas is Machu Picchu, as you see on the picture. Because Machu Picchu is still in good condition, because the Spanish never found this place. So it's, yeah, as you see, it's beautiful. Expeditions, there are a lot of expeditions to this place. You can go on a 4-day hike to this place, and you are at an average height of 30,000 meters. So this place is high in the mountains. So it's also a great experience to come there. And what you see there is beautiful. So maybe you can do that sometime. And it brings me to the next point, the city Iquitos. Iquitos is the main capital of the province Minas in Peru. It's also the biggest city in the whole rainforest, the Amazon. You cannot come there by a road. So to come there you have to travel with a boat or an airplane. So it's also a real adventure to come there. Yeah, here you see some statistics for the visitors of Iquitos. But as I see now, it's not the good version, so that's a little bit of problem to explain. But yeah, it's from the year 2005-2006. So you see, maybe you can see there are little increases from the total international tourists, around 5,000 in that year. So yeah, it's difficult to explain now. Iquitos is also a popular place to a starting point for trips to the Amazon, and that will brings me to the next point. Thank you. The Amazon rainforest. Yeah, that's I think one of the most wonderful places on the earth. You can organizations organize a lot of expeditions to this place.
Okay, I'm terribly sorry, but could you please move on to the conclusion, because we still need to do 2 more groups, and this one is much too long.
Well, I couldn't mention everything I wanted because we are out of time. Well, people around me we've mentioned 4 countries where adventure tourism is an upcoming branch. So I hope you all are now a little bit clearer about this form of tourism, and I hope you enjoy the presentation, especially my part. If there are any questions, we're very pleased to answer them, but I think we have no time for that, so...
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
One question. Well, why did you choose these 4 countries? Because actually only one is an English-speaking country, because in South Africa they speak French or something. In India they have their own languages, and so they're not all English-speaking countries.
That's true, but English is in these countries English is spoken for around 10%, something like that. So it's not an official language, but there are parts of the country speaks the language. So, and we thought it were a nice country, so we choose for this. That's the reason.
Any more questions? Well, let me ask you one more question at least very quickly then. Well, what you didn't do, and you said all the time the number of tourists to Canada and South Africa is growing, the demand for ice climbing is growing, etc. Well, it was clear from the statistics, but I'm very curious to know why that is growing then. Do you know that as well? Maybe you can still stand there, Sebastian.
Yeah, of course.
From other countries?
Well, just give me one example. For instance, how you mentioned, I think it was Thomas. Why is the popularity of ice climbing growing in South Africa, or was it somebody else who mentioned that? That was you. Okay.
Why it's growing? Yeah.
Because that would be interesting to know, not simply that it's growing, but why.
Yeah, that's true. But South Africa wasn't in the beginning very popular, what I mentioned, because of apartheid. South Africa wasn't a very nice country to visit, because there are a lot of war and, I don't know how to say it in English, but... So, yeah, the last 10-20 years it's upcoming, and of course also the activities. So ice climbing, that's a new sport, because the climate change, of course, is also very it's an issue at the moment. So maybe that's the reason it's popular, more popular than in the beginning.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I think we really need to move on to the